Hello. Have you noticed all the hexagon cardigans all over the internet lately? They were popular a couple of years ago when the Campfire Cardigan first came out, and they seem to have a revival. Don't know what it is, but it's great. So what I thought I'd do is I would do a video on some of the tips and tricks that I discovered when I made them before. So I made a sample up so I could do a video to show you these tips. Things like the fringing, the, the button band, the tapering on the sleeves, and how I actually join my ones together. Because everybody does it differently, and not everything is in one pattern. So I will put the link to the pattern that this is based on, which is the Campfire Cardigan. I'll put that in the description, and we will get on to the tips and tricks. So these are the yarns that I'm using for my hexagon cardigan. They are from Portercraft, and they are 8 plies. I just got this one, which is called multi-retro Lego, so Lego colours. And they're both acrylics, 100 grams in each ball. And so far, with my cardigan, at this point in time, I have got both sides connected, and I've done the sleeves, and I'm just starting to do the ribbing around the neck. But what I really wanted to show you is, first of all, how I join, because I join the top seam first. Let me just pull the microphone closer. So as you can see, this is my top seam. What I do is I turn it all inside out, and holding the 2 pieces like this, I alternate my double crochets, one on this side, one on that side, one on this side. So there's still the 3 in each one, but I'm alternating what side I'm on. And what that does is it gives a really firm join, but if you do it on the inside, you don't end up with a big ridge on the top of the shoulder of the top of the stitches, so it's nice and smooth. So first thing I do is I join the top of the shoulder. So that's there all the way along to here. Then I go around the sleeve. Now this is the bit I wanted to show you for the tapering. I go around the sleeve until it reaches the measurement of where I want the elbow to be. I'm doing this hexagon cardigan as a slightly cropped top or a small to medium sized lady. So when I get to where the elbow is, I start doing my tapering. Now this stitch here, you see 3 of them. This is what my tapering stitch. I'll show you how I do it, but I'll just say what it is first. It's a DC, then there is a half DC into the middle stitch of the previous treble on the previous row, and then there's a DC in the next one. So we've joined these 2 holes into one stitch, and then we carry on in the next stitch. And so I did that until it was the length to about the middle of the forearm, because then I just wanted to add a rib. Okay, I also wanted to show you the rib. Now the way I do my cuff is I do a row of single crochet, then I do a half double crochet in back post, and that gives you this nice ridge on the edge, and it neatens up any waving. And then I do 4 rows of front post, back post double crochets, and then right at the end is I do 1 row of slip stitch around, but I only do it in the back loop, and that gives you a nice firm edge on it. This is not, I mean, it stretches a little bit, but it's not really a stretchy cuff. This is just a finishing off. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I have a little bit of the bottom edge, so I can show you how to do that stitch. If I stop hitting the microphone. Okay, so we're going to ignore the other stitches on this row. This is just the single crochet to do the thing. What I'll do is I'll do a few chains so I'm away from the others. All right, so we're going to join, we're going to lose this by 1 stitch. So we go 1, I'll bring it right up, start again. So we go around through there. Now also what you want to do is you want to keep these loops quite small because it's a gathering stitch. You don't want big loopy ones. So if I keep my finger so that the loops don't ride up the hook, it makes it a tighter stitch. And like that. And that's how I make my gathering stitch. So that's actually lost me one whole cluster, and then it's brought it in on the curve. You can see that on here. You see how it's coming in here? That's the tapering. And that's how we do it. So I'll take that out and get back to where I was. I'll just put the thing in there. Love these locking stitch markers. They're really good. And that's what I do. I also, just add this in, when I join the back up, what I did is that I did one row of white down, and then I did the same thing as I did on the top of the sleeves, but I did it with the multi, and that way it blends right in and you can't really even see it. It's right here, this row here. It just dips in a little bit, but it's better than it dipping out. And if you look on the back, you can see that's the top of the stitches, but they're hidden inside and it makes a nearly invisible join. And that is all I wanted to show you. All right, so we're back and everything's all finished. Well, first thing I wanted to show you, seeing as we have our join right here, this is the last actual row. This is our join row that's joined the two pieces. It has given us this much so that when we add our ribbing, there's a bit of space for your neck. And there's a little V-stitch there so that it sits away. I just put an increase in this stitch so it sits away rather than in close. The next thing I wanted to show you was my buttons and how I put them on. If you remember when we did the cuffs, we put a slip stitch row right on the edge. We've done the same sequence of patterns here, but what I did, right where it comes to spread for your neck, I put an increase here. Hopefully you can see that little V, just to give it a pull away, you know, a shaping. And then when I did the last row, I did a chain between the two back post and front post trebles, and then on the last row I did, I think it was about 8 single crochets around that chain so that it made a loop, and then I just sewed my button onto the middle of the band, so I don't have to worry about the holes in the band getting pulled by taking it on and off, because it's not actually in the band. And the last thing I wanted to show you is what I do on the bottom. Bring that up. This is quite a complicated fringing. It's not the way to show you. Go like that. That's better. So your normal fringing is just this knot at the top, and it's done between each cluster. But what I do, just to be a bit fancy schmancy, is I divide them in half, because every fringe is a pair. So I divide them in half and I do an overhand knot. Like this one's only half, so he's a bit thinner than normal, but then he goes back to his full strength here. And that's what I do, but I don't trim the ends until I've done all the knotting, because you actually will lose some length in the knot. So cut them whatever length you like, longer than you need. Do your fringing, do your knotting, then trim the ends. This is just an overhand knot. It's one of the most easiest knots to learn. If you look up macrame, it's one of the ones they use quite a lot. And that, I think, is all the tips I have for you on the Hexagon cardigans. If it was helpful, I'm glad. And please like, share and subscribe. It does help us get more visible and make more videos. And I'll see you on the next one.